Hello, hello, hello there, everyone. How are you doing today? Happy Monday. Happy warm Monday to those of you in Texas. Oh my gosh. Woo-wee, what a week it has been. So let's make sure we're up and going here. And we will jump in here quickly. That's interesting. Okay. Hello there. If you are joining by chance for the first time, my name is Patricia Hayes. I am executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And welcome to Coffee Time Career Chat, where we have this little conversation twice a week. On Mondays, we talk about all things that affect us in our career development, both personal and professional, but the idea that it will help us to grow as individuals who are still able to live their values and respect their personal beliefs while they're growing as a professional and achieving their highest goals. And on Wednesdays, we continue that conversation, record it. So Mondays are live. Wednesdays are recorded as we talk about all things related to networking and building out your professional relationships and professional networks. And I love that topic. And so you can check us out on Wednesdays, same time. And it'll be posted and you can be ready to go. You can also check anything out on our YouTube channel where the Coffee Time Career Chats are being posted after they've been completed. So you can go back and check out some of the ones from the previous month, over the previous weeks. And we're working on lots of great things so that you can enjoy those things on a longer term basis. All right, that said, first of all, a shout out to all of my peeps in Texas. It has been a rough week. It is still rough. We are thawed out, but we are not over the hump. So thank you to everyone from around this, not just around the state, but around the country who is sending us prayers and well wishes and sending us resources. For those of you who have not been following the news for some reason, our electrical loss of last week caused the power to ruin thousands, probably millions of dollars worth of food. So there's not food on the shelves in the grocery stores, in the restaurants. There are restaurants that are closed not because they want to be, but because their freezers, they had to throw away produce and food. And water. It also shut down the electrical, lack of power, shut down our water power plants. And so they are trying to get back up, but because they've been shut down, the water is not safe to drink. So we have to boil water. And this last count, I think I heard, was like 14 million people. I'm one of them here in Texas, where we are boiling water. Or always in a constant search for clean drinking water in our fair state. So that said, thank you for all of you who are willing to pitch in, to donate, to help those. If you want to give in some way, I'm happy to direct you to various places where your dollars can be impacted directly. I'm a huge fan of that. I give very specifically, I give very directly. I'm not a fan of giving to slush funds. I give to organizations that I know are on the ground actually doing the work. And there are a number of them here in the Austin area, and I'm sure that they are in place all over the state. So just do your homework, check in with someone local, and then give accordingly. Which feeds right into our conversation about leadership today. Today, we're talking about leadership and vulnerability. And man, I'm not going to go into it. It's for another day. All of the examples, both good and not so good, or just plain bad, of leadership over the course of the last week. lest they appear political, I will let those ride for now. But they really and truly are good examples of what we should or should not do and how that will impact us as leaders in the future, as well as how we're perceived right now. So we're going to talk about leadership and vulnerability for this time. And this is important. Couple of things always to level set. You know, I always like to make sure and level set so that we're working on the same definitions, working from the same perspectives. And so for me, I define leadership in terms of not positional. I think that if you are an administrative assistant, you can be probably a better leader than the person with the big fancy title. And I'll explain why in just a second. So it's not positional as far as what your title is in a company or organization. Too many times people presume that because someone has a title that they are a good leader, and that is not necessarily the case. Leadership is about how you approach problem solving, how you approach directing people, how you approach solving issues or addressing problems and things that are going on around you. And when you're doing it, how you are influencing those around you to be inspired, to be motivated, to be guided, including correction, into a way to achieve a longer term goal. All right. So we're talking about influence. We're talking about the ability to impact those around you by inspiring, by motivating, by guiding and correcting to ultimately achieve a goal. That goal may be, getting a project done. That goal may be leading a multi-million-dollar company. It does not matter, because when you are serving as a leader, it can range from that for a huge respect. I know many people who do not have fancy titles, but they are really highly impactful leaders in their communities and in their organizations, okay? Because they have built up a level of trust from the influence that they've gained. People trust them, they're willing to follow them and to take that guidance and that correction from them so that they can all move along the same path to achieve whatever the goal is, all right? So that's what we're talking about leadership. When we're talking about vulnerability, I just pulled a pretty clear-cut dictionary definition because I think it fit the bill, right? So the one that I pulled, it talks about a willingness to show emotion or to allow one's weakness to be seen or known, a willingness to risk being hurt or attacked. So on point, so accurate. There was no need for me to adjust it in a lot of ways. So when you combine those two things, a leader who's someone of influence, who has gained people's trust and is guiding them along a path, with the fact of being willing to let your weaknesses be known or shown and to risk being hurt or attacked, man, that combination, you can have some people who are some pretty good leaders, but they get to that vulnerability part, and that's a weakness. That in and of itself is a weakness for them, right? They're not willing to be vulnerable. They're not willing to show. And what happens when you have that? Well, your influence decreases, okay? So here's the thing. Couple of different things when we're talking about leadership and vulnerability and how it affects you when you're moving in your everyday life, when you're moving around in your company, when you're looking to gain additional responsibilities, to gain a new foothold, to achieve some dreams, both professionally and personally. First thing, true leadership requires a willingness to admit imperfection. It's just the bottom line. And whether you want to or not, or whether you allow your ego to get in the way, is completely going to affect how you operate as a leader, okay? Because the reality is that as a leader, we have to be willing to admit at some point that we don't know it all. That we really don't know it all. There's a running joke in my family because I'm one of those people that's always read everything they could get their hands on, even things that don't seem like they apply to me or that they're within my scope. And so there's a running joke in my family to call me an encyclopedia. Oh, well, just go ask the encyclopedia or just go ask the dictionary, right? Because a lot of times, because I'm pretty well read or I pay attention to a lot of things, I can probably answer some really random questions or at least give some direction to how to find it. All right. Here's the thing. Every once in a while, I'll get asked some completely random, crazy thing. And I'll be like, I don't know. And they're like, what do you mean you don't know? You're the encyclopedia. I'm like, yeah, but I really and truly do not know a lot. Okay, the things that I do know, and especially if I know them well, I am willing to say so, and I will probably fight you on some of it, right? But the reality is, I don't know everything. And true leadership, good leaders, we have to be able to say that. We have to be able to say, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know why that happened. But here's the thing. Because, but cancels out things before it. But I'm willing to find out. But I'm willing to help you address that problem. That's what leadership is about, okay? So that openness of admitting that you're not perfect, that you don't have all the answers, some people are probably going to attack you for that. Some people are going to, try and smear you for that because we're like, oh, well, you're so-and-so, you should. Well, guess what? Whether that's true or not, depending on, expectations, this is that piece about what the expectations people have for people because of a position, forgetting that they are people just like them and that they truly may not know the answer to everything, but have a willingness to find out. Well, that's a whole other conversation, right? About when people push off false expectations onto you. But all you can do is to be willing to take that, to accept that for what it is, right? Not to define you by it, but to say, you know what? I understand your angst. I understand you're upset, but we're going to go figure out how to resolve this problem together. Or I'm going to help you find the right path to get an answer to that question. Okay. And that is super important. Your willingness to learn is key when you're having to admit, I don't know everything. I'm not perfect. Okay. And that this is an ongoing need to set aside our ego. And that is not easy work, right? I am not the mindset expert, but I do know enough of them and have shared some of their wisdom to know that dealing with your ego and addressing that is super important as a leader, right? In order for us to make sure that we can achieve our ultimate goals. All right. So we have to move past that and be able to acknowledge that true leadership requires a willingness to admit your imperfection. All right. Time for a sip of coffee. Great. Okay. Number 2, leaders should model humanity, both personally and professionally. What do I mean by that? Well, it's about that piece. I posted something at the end of last week about humanity and the need to recognize it and how empowering that can be. That when you are willing to remember as a leader that you are working with people, you're working with flawed people, you're working with real people who have problems, who have challenges, and all of the above, that is so powerful, and you can build so much more trust that way. When you remember to live and to work in that way by modeling the fact that, hey, I know that this deadline is happening, but I also recognize that you haven't had power for a week. That's that piece of remembering humanity and remembering to be humane and how you address your situations, how you address problems, how you address and lead people through problems to achieve an end goal. All right. When people don't remember that they're human and that the people they're working with are humans, and that they're not robots, that they're not machines, and that it's not going to go perfectly every day. Well, guess what? When you have this persona of being this great, strong leader, but yet you're not willing to recognize the humanity of people, there is an inconsistency there that people will pick up on because there's a misalignment, and people will see it and sense it, and they will pull back because they'll be like, I don't know what's off, but something's off here. All right. And that's when you can start to lose some trust from folks. When you have people who are not as willing to follow you, who are challenging your leadership. Because reality is sometimes they just like, it don't smell right. I do that sometimes. I'm like, I'm not sure, but I really feel like I'm missing something here. And that's when we're out of alignment with our actions and our words. This is a daily journey, especially for those of us who pursue leadership, those who are tossed into leadership, right? That's positional versus becoming non-positional leaders, where it's about the influence that you have and what you're doing, okay? Being aligned with what we believe and how we act is a daily journey, all right? That, again, requires that level of vulnerability of it, recognizing that I'm not perfect, that there are things that I'm not good at, but I'm willing to learn, okay? That's that piece of continually working and recognizing that. And when you're willing and able to acknowledge that to others, it actually strengthens your leadership your leadership posture. All right. So that's number 2. All right. Let's see. Number 3. Where are we? Leaders who express vulnerability build trust better and faster. All right. Now, I will go do a little more homework on this, but this is much more. I don't have the data with me to back it up, so I'm going to lay that out there. But here's the position on this. When you are willing to show that you are not perfect, that you have weaknesses, those who connect with you and are truly seeking direction, and once they are willing to accept that about you, because they recognize, they're like, you know what, this person, I'm connecting with this person because that's me. Like, I don't believe all of this, or I don't understand all of this, and I do some of these things wrong, and they just admitted it, right? You've gained someone's trust a little bit faster. You're able to work with them a little bit better because you've earned that trust. You are earning that trust, right? It's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing commitment. And when you have that, and when you're willing to say, I don't know the answer to that, or that's not my strong suit, let me find someone who can help you, who does do this on a regular basis. It's not even about making it a big deal. It's about the acknowledgement and then moving straight on so that you can help people get to where they need to be. That's what leaders do, right? They use their influence to inspire and motivate people, to help them to get to where they need to be. Help them to achieve the goals that they want to achieve, the goals that need to be achieved for the organization, for the community in which they live or that they're serving, whatever. Okay, that's what leaders do. And by acknowledging that, by being open to taking a few hits, and to say, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn, you actually get that trust. Sometimes you can get to that level of trust, but it may take more time if you're too busy trying to focus on being, quote, strong and this, quote, perfect person that people can't relate to. And or if it's misaligned with something that you're saying or that they're sensing, then it's going to be like that little step back. Not quite sure. We all have it. We all have those things. And that's why I say continually that we have to remember that this is a journey And that part of it, when you're saying that, when you're working with people and acknowledging that it's a journey, like they can align with that. They can connect with that as well. Okay. So being a good leader is more than about having a good title, right? It's more than about saying that everything is so hunky-dory and we're great. Because number one, if it's not true, people are going to find it out pretty quickly, and that's going to discredit you. First of all, very quickly. And then secondly, if there's some element of truth to it, but it's not sincere about acknowledging weaknesses or where there are pitfalls, then people will sense that, and they will trust you to a point, but then be like, yeah, they always kind of leave a little something out, so I'm not really sure about that. All right. This is a thing that people sense very, very easily. Okay. And we all do it. So the thing is, I would say for you today, the best thing or the most important thing to remember is to remember that leaders are not perfect. And if you are seeking a leadership position, you need to remember that you're not perfect and that you should not try to rise to those expectations of perfection, because it will make for a very nasty fall, and nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants that. All right, let me see. I'm kind of checking here. We kind of got closed out, and let's see if we have any questions. Let's see if we have any questions. Any questions out there? La, la, la. Let's see. It's always amazing when I'm trying to check in here. I can't always see you. So if you're out there and you do have a question, please type it in the chat. And we'll make sure and get it done. All right, I don't see anything. Okay, so if you later on watch this and you have some questions, you have something you want to follow up on, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Hit me up in the DMs. I'm always available to follow up on that. Just, message me either through Messenger or email, and I will be happy to follow up with you. And as we continue along this way, as we come March to the close of the second month of this year, can you believe that? Spring is right around the corner. And I am still here and available to take on those of you who are wanting to get things in gear for the year, or for now you're like, I'm settled in. I really need to, get moving on some things, and you want to be able to have a chit chat about how you might approach that. Let me know. We can get you set up on a consult call, and we can have a chat about what is the best way forward for you. I always have, openings for my longer term coaching packages, but I also have, on a more limited basis, on a quarterly basis right now, still some times open for VIP intensives, right? So if you're not quite ready for a longer term thing, but you want to get some time in on a 2, 4, or 6 hour VIP intensive, we can get that set up as well. And I'm happy to have that conversation with you. So have a fantastic day. Have a blessed week, and we will catch up with you later. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.